Jaxon Smith-Njigba is a near flawless fit for the Buffalo Bills at 6'1", 200 pounds. A lot of Bills Mafia wanting a player like Zay Flowers, who's only listed at 5'10", 172. My thoughts against Zay Flowers is the Bills don't need more speed on this offense. Looking at guys like James Cook, Nyheim Hines, and even Isaiah McKenzie, they present enough speed for the Buffalo Bills in 2023. That is why I am opting for a player like Njigba, JSN from Ohio State at 6'1", 200 pounds, rocking number 11 in the slot, playing the majority of the time at that slot position, more of a possession type wide receiver, but he's silky smooth in his route running and also yards after the catch. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is the perfect fit for the Buffalo Bills, and why I believe Brandon B could very well consider trading up for him in this year's NFL draft. Will we need to, though? The lack of playing time for him. He had to deal with a hamstring injury, so his draft stock could definitely fall. The other thing hurting Jaxon Smith-Njigba is his lack of overall top speed. So seeing that a guy like Zay Flowers can come out in this NFL Combine and run a high 40 time, I think could very well put him above Jaxon Smith-Njigba in this year's NFL draft, allowing Njigba to fall to the Buffalo Bills at 27th overall. Now, I really believe that Jaxon Smith-Njigba would potentially make the Buffalo Bills wide receiver core one of the best in the NFL in 2023. When you look at it, what did the Buffalo Bills struggle at last year? It wasn't that we didn't have enough speed at the slot position. It was just that we needed a sure hand to have increased completion percentage. That's why we brought in Cole Beasley, losing Jamison Crowder earlier in the year, right? And the other fact is here with Jaxon Smith-Njigba is that he's already been prepared for the NFL, and he's already been prepared to be surrounded by top talent. When you look at it, he played with Chris Olave and also Garrett Wilson at Ohio State. And what ended up happening at Ohio State is that opposing defenses played zone because they knew Justin Fields and that offense, they could not play man-to-man against Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jaxon Smith-Njigba. And that is exactly what and how teams are playing the Buffalo Bills. They don't play us man. We have Stefon Diggs, right? We have Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, all these guys. They are playing us zone. So Jaxon Smith-Njigba is a great fit for the Buffalo Bills because he knows how to sit in zone coverage. He's smart and wise beyond his years. Just listen to the NFL Combine in their interviews. Listening and what he explains being so elaborate in his responses. When he was asked about what players does he study, he brought up Stefon Diggs. And you listen to Zay Flowers, they actually brought up playing for the Buffalo Bills and what it would be like playing next to Stefon Diggs. Answers were very close, but Jaxon Smith-Njigba was so elaborate, going into detail, and you could tell that he truly studied guys like Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Stefon Diggs, saying how over-exaggerated Stefon Diggs was in his route running. I mean, that is such a niche idea in game film study. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is on the road to freaking excellence. At 6'1", 200 pounds, he gives us an all-purpose slot wide receiver, not only being a receiver, but also blocking. And when you look at the tape, the ability to just catch the ball, the ability to sit in the creases on that defense is so special. And his experience already working with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave being on that field at the same time is huge, is absolutely huge for the Buffalo Bills. I really think he is going to give us a lot. But the real thing that is hurting Jaxon Smith-Njigba here is his lack of overall experience. Dealing with the hamstring injury last year set him really far back. But going back to that 2021 season with Justin Fields, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, you could see how dynamic of a player he was. 1,600 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is freaking awesome. You know, and you look at a guy like Zay Flowers, right? Didn't really have a lot of surrounding talent such as Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and we've seen the success from Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave in the NFL. It makes sense that a guy like Jaxon Smith-Njigba would definitely translate to Buffalo. in this offense, and Josh Allen, plus dealing with multiple different quarterbacks at Ohio State. He proved that he can catch a hard pass. Justin Fields throws the ball extremely hard too, and we know Josh Allen doesn't throw the softest ball in the world. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, JSN, he shows a grit that the Buffalo Bills need, a willingness to go up after the ball, to catch the ball in the middle of the field from that slot position. This is what we need to do, kind of consolidate things in that slot position. We're dealing with a bunch of pieces at the slot position right now, but an all-purpose wide receiver like Jaxon Smith-Njigba makes so much sense. I really believe he'd even be worthy of trading up for in this year's NFL draft. But again, seeing that a guy like Zay Flowers could run a fast 40, we don't really necessarily need that much speed on this offense due to guys like Nyheim Hines. We saw the kick return last year, burning multiple, right? Burning all those guys. Isaiah McKenzie definitely has enough speed, maybe doesn't have the route running and crispiness and shiftiness of JSN. And if you look at the tape, I really think JSN reminds me of Andre Reed. Andre Reed played on the outside, and he also played in the slot. He doesn't have that top speed, but he has a great knack for making yards after the catch. Stutter steps and juking and all those things. You don't need necessarily the fastest player in the world to get yards after the catch. I really think that is a huge, huge advantage for the Bills. Plus, the key factor here is that Khalil Shakir is sitting there working with Eric Moles, who is a perimeter wide receiver. Eric Moles really wasn't in the slot too much. Now, I do believe that Khalil Shakir is going to be playing on the outside as well as slot, but it just makes sense to bring in another wide receiver to compete and do some big things for Bills Mafia. Khalil Shakir, on a side note, really stepped up and had statistically, although not a lot of targets, but statistically actually outperformed Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave last year with the targets. So I think the Bills should definitely be eyeing up JSN. I think he's potentially worthy of maybe even trading up for. We have to spend around $7 million each NFL draft. So the Buffalo Bills even Brandon Beane admitted that we have a cap problem right now as well as next year. They got some figuring out to do. So why not trade some draft picks, even next year's draft picks? Next year's draft picks to kind of trade up and solidify a player like JSN, who played at Ohio State, cold weather. He would just basically move right down the street here in Buffalo and be a flawless fit. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing. Really, really mean the world. Really help me continue doing this channel. So let's go. Go Bills. Peace out.